All right, let's get started. Thank you all for making the time to join us for today's webinar. My name is Natalie Taylor, and I'm a content marketing writer here at Feedvisor. As you all know, Amazon Marketplace is an increasingly saturated and competitive arena, and oftentimes, after launching their Amazon businesses, many sellers hit a standstill and struggle to scale their operations beyond their initial growth. So today we'll be discussing key strategies you can implement to not only scale your business, but to break the $20 million threshold and join the top 1% of Amazon sellers. I'm joined by former Amazonian Parag Mamnani, founder and CEO of Webgility, a multi-channel management software for automating your e-commerce operations. Parag has helped scale thousands of e-commerce businesses with Webgility, and prior to that, he was the product management lead for Amazon Web Store, where he launched the Web Store Developer Program and managed Amazon's largest accounts. So if there's anyone who can speak to scaling your Amazon business, it's Parag. But before I hand things off, I want to just quickly give an overview of Feedvisor for those of you who might be new to our webinars. Feedvisor is an end-to-end AI-first optimization and intelligence platform for sellers on Amazon and modern marketplaces. We leverage a combination of action-driven artificial intelligence, machine learning, and human expertise to provide data-backed insights to help inform every aspect of your business. While every business is different and there are a number of factors that can impact your success on Amazon Marketplace, one thing that's certain is that selling on Amazon requires extensive bandwidth and investment for long-term success. In our recent survey of Amazon sellers, we found that 70% of sellers grew their revenue on Amazon over the past year, and 56% of sellers experienced profit growth. While there are many ways to approach your scaling efforts, whether it's by expanding internationally, adding new products, or adjusting your business model, it's important to have key targets in place that focus on the specific variables that you want to optimize to ensure that one facet of your business is not ignored or undervalued. One aspect you might want to revisit is your fulfillment method. As your business scales, you'll want to consider the size of your operation and its growth potential, the product categories that you sell in, and what aspects of your business you're looking to invest the most resources in. Feedvisor data shows that 50% of sellers utilize FBA as their primary fulfillment method, which can increase your visibility to Amazon's most loyal customers, Prime members. And not only that, FBA eliminates the need to hire and train people to work for you, which ultimately grants you more time to focus on expanding your reach and scaling your growth. And on that note, I'll let Parag take it from here, but I quickly want to mention that there will be a short poll at the end of the webinar and plenty of time for a Q&A. So if you have questions throughout the presentation, we encourage you to enter them into the space below, and we'll try our best to get to all of them. With that, I'll hand things over to Parag.
Thanks so much, Natalie. Hello, everyone. My name is Parag Mamnani. I'm the founder and CEO of Webgility. First and foremost, I want to thank the folks at Feedvisor. We're big fans of their product, and I really appreciate the opportunity to speak with all the attendees today. I'm a product guy, been a product guy for over 18 years now. I've been working closely with e-commerce sellers for most part of my life, and I've actually had the opportunity to work on both sides. I've been a consultant and strategist for e-commerce companies, helping them build out their overall operations. And I've also been on the other side of the coin with platform, being a product guy at Amazon, helping SMBs build their e-commerce presence on what was formerly called Web Store, and also companies helping them scale and strategize on how they grow their operations on the Amazon seller platform. I've had the pleasure of working with tens of thousands of companies, and we're going to be spending some time today in talking about some high-level strategies which I believe can really help to scale business past the 20 million mark. Over this past few years, we've been focusing primarily on e-commerce sellers, and through my experience and with all of the work that we've done with Webgility, we've been able to grow a fairly large customer base. And for a little background on Webgility, We've been automating revenue of over $2 billion a year for sellers that are multi-channel. Our products help companies scale, and we're currently processing over 35 million transactions. So safe to say that we've had some experience working with sellers who are looking to grow their business, and leveraging these years of experience and this volume of transactions that we've processed. I'll be presenting some strategies today. I know there's a lot of great material out there on specific tactics around shipping, pricing, and obviously Feedvisor does a great job with education around intelligence strategies to grow your business. My focus for the webinar today is going to be on broader business strategies that hopefully business owners and everyone that's in the audience today that you can actually employ to put to test and really get your business growth happening. These are going to be broader business ideas that you could really take back to your team and think through how they might apply to your business. I expect a few, if not all of these strategies might be helpful for you. And without further ado, we'll jump into number one, and that is building a recurring business. So what's an example of a recurring business? Well, a recurring business could be in various forms. You want to think about your product catalog, obviously, and finding examples, simple stuff like whether you're selling vacuum bags, cosmetics, you're selling cleaning supplies, or you're selling socks. Building a recurring business can be an incredibly powerful way to growing your business and to scaling to that 20 million mark. So why does this strategy work? Well, first and foremost, it works because of your customer acquisition costs being incredibly low. As you know, it's much easier to sell to existing customers than it is to acquire new ones. So the more that you can find in your catalog the ability to resell a particular product, the lower the costs are you're going to incur on acquiring the customer, and the higher the value that you'll be able to extract from every customer that you already have in your database. And the other interesting thing we find is that once you have an habituated customer, they are actually often resistant to going after competitive offers, even when you make price changes. Case in point, as we've seen a lot of the giants as they update the subscription, once you get to critical mass, folks don't jump off, for example, Netflix just because it went through $1 or $2 price increase. And I know those are consumer plays, but a lot of those same psychological methodologies apply when you're building a recurring e-commerce business. You really want to maximize that customer lifetime value and reduce your CAC, which is customer acquisition costs. And the last tip I'll say with regards to building a recurring business, it's really critical. In order to make a successful recurring business, it's not just about the product. It's about making it really, really drop dead easy for customers to reorder. So consider a business selling Christmas supplies. And if you're able to get, once you get that momentum with your customer base, it should be drop dead easy for somebody that's placed an order to place an order with you again. And for you to have the right marketing strategy in place so that you're going after those customers and nurturing them as you approach a certain time frame. So strategy number one, look at your catalog, think about how you can build a recurring business. Moving on to strategy number two, focus on your customer segments. And when I speak to customer segments, I'm referring to examples like, say, religious groups, maybe sports enthusiasts, baseball players. However you slice and dice your demographic data, you really want to uncover what are the key customer segments in your database, in your customer base, and how can you dissect them to create really, really strategic campaigns. And why this really works is clearly the more narrow your marketing strategy, the more narrow you understand and dissect your customer segments, the more focused your messaging will be and the much higher conversion rates you're going to get to your marketing campaigns. And specifically, this is not just about email campaigns to your existing base, but it's about being able to develop your product catalog and your brand on your e-commerce channels, positioning your product catalog in a certain way so that you can be relatable to specific customer segments. By narrowing those customer segments, and hopefully you have a CRM in place, hopefully you have a good understanding of what those different segments are, you're also able to really understand the customer needs and predict their future needs. Just as a simple example, even within for our company Webgility, we look at customer segments by their revenue because customers that are in different revenue bands tend to have different operational needs. It enables us to really dissect how we want to plan our product strategy, how we want to do our customer nurturing, what are the feedback loops that we want to focus on from different target customers. And also, as you focus on these customer segments, enables you to get really better quality word of mouth marketing. And we'll talk more about that in our upcoming strategy later in the presentation. But focusing on customer segments is really great. And the best way to do it is to really slice and dice your data across the demographic variables and really uncover who's buying and figuring out how you can group them together so you can find an effective way to market and continue to grow your revenue. Strategy number 3, it's very much related to identifying a white space from a customer standpoint, but it's also finding a niche white space in terms of your go-to-market strategy, in terms of your product catalog. So a good example of this will be stuff like finding a price version, medium price variation of a high-end product. Maybe it's finding a very uncommon material for a common product that might exist out there. And custom-made products are obviously the thing now with a lot of consumer, direct-to-consumer brands coming to market. But finding a way to really take what may feel to you like a really saturated category, but the more white space that you can find in there, it's going to be incredibly valuable. And the reason it works is a fairly simple one. You're able to establish a very differentiated positioning because you've found that white space, and you face a lot less competition. You can leverage a lot of your pricing and marketing and really experiment when you have a white space that you're going after because there's not a whole lot to compare out of. A good example of this, for example, would be say a company like Allbirds. They've built wool shoes. They've been incredibly successful. And if you have a chance to check out their website, you'll see they've taken what is really a very seemingly saturated market of shoes, sneakers, but being able to go to market with exactly that same product, but with a very uncommon material, wool, which is in fact thought to be probably not the best for sneakers, but they've found a great way to both custom develop it, but also use a uncommon material and tie it with a story. It probably employs a number of the strategies we're talking about today, but it's an incredible way to build differentiation. You can find a white space and attack it. Some of the ways that you can find that white space is to listen to customer feedback. Look at the reviews that you have, look at the reviews that other competitors in your space might be getting, and really think critically about what is the white space that you can fill. There's obviously some other platforms out there as well that can enable you to experiment with those ideas like Kickstarter. But be aware, you don't want to fill spaces where there's a really small market because you end up spending a lot of cost and time in building products in those cases, and you may not necessarily get the ROI from those campaigns. Strategy number 4 is finding a higher purpose. As I've talked about in a couple of the slides prior, you really want to identify ways that you can grow your brand and be able to find obviously white space and look after customer segments. But what we've found from all of our research and having worked with tens of thousands of companies is that businesses don't reach the 20 million mark without having longevity. Short-term ideas can give you some quick wins, but if you really want to create a sustainable business that can grow to that 20 million mark, you must find a higher purpose. An example of that would again be things like environmental sustainability. It could be a higher purpose around providing products at a certain price point or making them more affordable, helping certain groups, or providing healthier living. We've heard of some tremendous success recently of companies like Beyond Meat that have found sort of alternatives and to meat products. One that comes as a classic example that always comes to mind in terms of a higher purpose is a company most of you I hope have heard of, is called Tom's. They started off with this singular purpose of building a business around products and being able to buy one, give one. And it's critical that if you want to build your business to that 20 million mark, that you find that higher purpose. It's really hard to build a long-term business if you don't figure out ways of not just selling a repeatable product, but also delivering additional value. Many of the largest sellers that we work with have built their business around a mission and have created a community that helps them fuel that growth. So what can you do tactically? I would strongly recommend, if you haven't already done so, meet with your executive team, get around the table and really think about what's your mission statement, what's your purpose, write down what those core values are. And for those of you that are more mature and in the process, maybe you're working with a PR firm that's helping you in this process, but really get down to the details, really try to understand what are your mission statements, what is your value, and make sure you're personifying it for your customer so that you can be more relatable and customers can relate to your purpose. Strategy number 5 is leveraging word of mouth. It should be fairly clear to most of you that are out there that have been selling for a while, but word of mouth is probably the biggest factor that's used today in making buying decisions in e-commerce, and it really works. And some of the simple tactics that I've seen employed are, simple stuff like refer a friend, you both get a particular discount. Share it for $5 and you'll get social media presence. There's definitely a lot of interesting ideas out there on how you can leverage word of mouth. But part of this word of mouth is not just about pricing strategies. It's really about making it relatable to your brand. Figure out interesting strategies that can help you get more brand awareness. For example, we have a large seller in our base who's been able to grow because they've done crowdfunding through social media. They've been able to build a global community of over 1 million followers just through that particular category of product that they're selling. So they're able to obviously experiment with a white space, use a crowdsourcing platform, and really build off of that and build a community. So you really want to find ways to leverage that word of mouth, create a referral incentive, and something that's probably again super obvious but often difficult is you want to make it really, really easy to share. And there's a lot of talk obviously today about social media and influencers. In fact, we talked about it just today in our marketing meeting in the Webgility office. But you want to really think about category influencers and how they can help you really leverage that word of mouth. I want to jump to the next point, and Natalie, you can take a quick question here around Pulse. Seems like we'll be adding that at the end, so I'll jump right over to strategy number 6. This is a fairly obvious one, but you'll be surprised how often we encounter this problem with our with sellers that are in a high growth mode. They look at their top line revenue, but don't really see the true profitability of their product. As a result of which, they're often seeing growth in revenue, but they're not really growing their bottom line. You've got to figure out a way to cut your low profit products. Products that, for example, may be too different from most of your catalogs. So you incur unnecessary costs in trying to store them, to fulfill them. Bulky or large items, again, if you're not selling certain types of products, if you're selling certain smaller products and you have bulkier items in your catalog, you want to figure out a way to assess the profitability of that. Even custom products can be a challenge. So why does it work? Well, this is clear. It's, cash is king. You have to think about profitability about your products and not just use revenue as a driver for growth. It also aligns your customer acquisition costs with margins. So products where your profitability is high, you can afford to spend a little bit more time acquiring customers for that segment. And it forces you to really focus where you're creating the most value. And to get true profitability, you got to make sure it's not just about the cost of the original inventory item and the manufacturing costs. You have to keep all of your fees in mind. And this is exactly one of the areas that Webgility helps customers, because we're able to help you figure out what your true profitability is. We can dig into the expenses that you've incurred in your payments, the expenses in shipping, the storage fees, all of your FBA and Amazon seller fees are tracked, and all of your marketplace fees put together help you track what your true profitability is. And a great way to getting more analysis done here is to rank your products from least profitable to most, and then think about where you cut off that catalog and how you create more focus. We have got a number of quotes that I can share with you, but you'd be surprised at how many customers come to us and look at their catalog, and once they apply the lens of profitability, it just opens up some incredible insights for them. Strategy number 7 is about scaling your catalog, and you want to scale it wisely. We've talked about building a recurring business, finding white space, and being able to leverage a lot of word of mouth. But ultimately, once you've found that narrower product catalog that's really beneficial for you and that's giving you the profitability, you want to be really strategic in thinking about how you can scale that catalog. The most successful sellers that we've seen start with a smaller catalog, really figure out all their unit economics, figure out how they can grow their profitability, and then they expand their product catalog and create adjacent markets and adjacent campaigns that they can really use to leverage and grow their revenue. I have a number of examples of this, but a simple one I can speak to is a large seller who started off with a simple business selling party tents. And that simple party tents business is exploded now, where they've incorporated a number of party supplies. They've gone beyond that to inflatables and a number of other categories. And really, by starting with that particular segment, filling that white space, finding those right customer segments, they're able to scale that revenue very profitably by being selective in how they organize their catalog. You also can create this focused approach, and it'll minimize a lot of your overhead. Strategy number 8 is about diversifying channels. I know a lot of the folks on today's webinar are probably spending most of their time on Amazon and really thinking about Amazon, but I'm here to tell you, you really want to diversify. You may spend a bulk of your money on Amazon, and it is the largest marketplace that's probably contributing most of your revenue, but expanding into other marketplaces is a critical strategy that will drive success in getting you closer to that 20 million mark and beyond. By expanding to other marketplaces, obviously you're not only putting all your eggs in one basket, but it gives you an incredible opportunity to experiment, be able to think about how you can, again, target those market segments and figure out what part of your catalog you place on which marketplace. In fact, marketplaces out there have now themselves designed to be going after certain segments. So folks like Etsy that go after more boutique and craft kind of buyers, that's a great platform. Reverb's a great marketplace for a lot of musicians and audio products. And those are the types of opportunities, depending on your catalog, that you really want to explore. By streamlining your catalog and really targeting these different marketplaces, you can absolutely expand your TAM. If you think that all sellers are going to Amazon, you might not be wrong, but I assure you there's a lot of research happening, especially with the growth that Etsy has seen, Walmart, Jet, Reverb, all of these marketplaces are seeing tremendous growth, and it's your opportunity to actually expand your catalog to these channels. I'll also speak quickly about big box retailers. So especially for those companies in our portfolio that we've seen that manufacture their own products or direct to consumer, they often employ big box retailers, whether it be a Home Depot or Lowe's. They're leveraging those big box retailers to diversify their footprint and actually get presence in store with big box retailers. So think about how you can expand your TAM, diversify your channels, and really manage your risk that way. Speaking of managing risk and diversifying channels, strategy number 9 is making sure that you can manage your stock. This is probably a fairly obvious one in terms of overselling. That's the biggest pain point that we encounter in our customers when they come to us and they're trying to scale their business. Managing stock can be a really, really big challenge. Overselling is a big driver for poor customer reviews, and oftentimes you're really burning through a lot of your cash flow by keeping it as a fixed product sitting in your warehouse, and it often creates a lot of challenges, obviously, in terms of shelf life, especially with a lot of categories where trends are changing so quickly that if you stock for too long, the product's no longer viable. The way that you want to think about managing stock is, first and foremost, keep your inventory in sync across all of your channels. You have to have a really good line of sight to what's the inventory you have across your different channels. And this is specifically an area where Webgility can help. Also, you want to think about your storage fees. Do your research, understand what it costs to store your particular products, and leverage different distribution and fulfillment channels. Consider drop shipping. Think about FBA if you haven't already. And this is a critical strategy to helping you scale, because as you grow your velocity, you get past that 5 to 10 million mark, your margins are going to become tighter and tighter, and it's all going to be driven. And obviously your marketing costs correspondingly are growing as you grow. And so you want to be really thoughtful about how you manage your stock. The last and most critical strategy that we'll talk about today is automation. This one is, of course, near and dear to me, because this is what we've been eating, sleeping, breathing as a company for the last 12 years, is how do we help sellers really automate all of their back office functions? How do we help them scale that business? How do we help them not have to add more staff when they want to grow their revenues and achieve their same level of customer service and satisfaction with reduced staffing? So a great example of this kind of automation is some simple stuff, but tends to take a really lot of time, is how do you record your transactions into your financial system? How do you know how much revenue you're making? How do you know if your inventory is in sync across all of your channels? Are your customers aware that you shipped out their product? Does all of your fulfillment staff know what the status is of a particular transaction, and make sure that the customers are aware? Do you have a single place from where you can manage all of your orders and transactions? Are you automating all of your shipping workflows? And clearly, automation is the way to scale, because if you're not automated, your systems are inevitably going to be prone to human error, whether it's with overselling, having mistakes in your accounting, or mistakes in overpaying taxes. You want to minimize that redundancy, get to faster processes, and really what we tell sellers most often that come to us, time's your most valuable asset. Time is what it takes for you to really learn, be able to be more thoughtful about your catalog, how to position your products. Think about all the strategies that we've talked about today. You need that time. You need to invest a lot of energy and resources into planning your business, and automation is the best way to get there. Natalie, I know we've covered quite a bit. I'm happy to dive into some of these slides and these strategies in a bit more detail. I do want to be thoughtful of time today, and I'm happy to jump in and answer poll questions and sort of questions that might have come in from the audience.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much, Parag. Just quickly moving on to just one more slide here. Um, for more insights on some of those data points that I shared earlier in our presentation, as well as ways to establish a thorough catalog management strategy, determining the right fulfillment method for your business, and more, you can download a copy of our free guide, How to Scale Your Amazon Business in 5 Steps, which is available at the link provided here. And now we are going to get to several questions as part of the Q&A, and we also have a brief poll that you should see on your screen now.
Yeah, I really like this question. Thank you, Natalie, for adding this. For all those in the audience, we'd love to hear from you. What part of the business do you wish was the most automated? Obviously, this is going to vary as depending on where you might be in the process, but just take a second, if you could, select that radio button and submit. What's the part of the business that you would like to see most automated? We'll give it another 5 seconds here, Natalie, and we still got some votes coming in. Excellent. Looks like most of you have voted, and we could take a quick look at the results. Cool. Looks like the numbers are in, and we have, as I would suspect, inventory, order management, and finance tend to be some of the top issues. And of course, we're all looking to make more money and grow our business. So marketing is another critical area, and certainly from a Webgility standpoint, this is a great validation about what are the areas that we're focused on in helping our sellers scale their operations. And as you look to that 20 million mark, making sure that you can organize your inventory and really figure out how you get listed on various platforms and keep all of your inventory in sync is certainly an area we can help. I know, Natalie, we're going to be putting up a slide at the end for those of you that may be interested in learning more about Webgility and talking to our team. Our contact information is going to be up on the screen, but it's simply hello@webgility.com. Just stop by, say hi, and we'll be happy to help you with some of those areas. Natalie, do we have another poll that you wanted to run through as well?
Yes. We will get that up. Should see it on your screens now. So now let's just get into the Q&A.
Great.
So first question, you talked a lot about ratings and reviews. What else can e-commerce sellers and brands do to optimize reputation management?
Well, certainly, when you think about reputation, I would actually like to tie it again with the company's purpose. When you're selling on Amazon or a lot of marketplaces, there tends to be this incredible emphasis on what I would call the more tactical type of reviews. Did I get the product on time, right? Was the product the way that I thought it would be? I think oftentimes what I find sellers miss is creating that really emotional connection with their customers. And so in order for you really to elevate your brand, to build a better reputation, it's important you create that connection. Think about how you can be more relatable to your audience, what kind of additional kind of value you can deliver. And if you can create that experience, you'll often find that those reviews will also elevate from being simplistic about, getting the product on time to actually being much more engaging communications with you as a brand. And more people tend to write higher quality reviews when they feel that attachment to the brand. So I would certainly recommend that. And frankly, just as a general note on ratings and reviews, you want to surpass expectations, and this is why, as a company, we believe so much in automation, because really the big brands obviously certainly have a great story, but they're able to, far exceed their customers' expectation by delivering products faster, by making sure that there are no mistakes in their inventory. And the more you can automate, I think by definition, your customers will get a better experience and will stay more connected and continue to help you grow your reputation.
So following up with automation, what's the best way to automate reductions other than a repricer?
Uh, Boy, I mean, there's definitely a lot of strategies. I'm sure the folks at Feedvisor can give you a lot of insights on how you can use a repricer. But yeah, I'd probably spend a little bit more time with the Feedvisor folks on tactical ways that they can help you.
Any other observations and thoughts on executing across all 10 strategies?
I think for me, whenever I go to webinars or I listen to folks that talk about interesting strategies, it's often very, very inspiring at the time of the event, and then you go back to doing your daily business, and business sucks you up, especially as a business owner. And so I'd say the most important thing you can do in order to really absorb these strategies is to buy time, like really spend the time, planning, thinking, bring together your team and think through all of these strategies. As a company, Webgility, for example, we do quarterly reviews across the entire business with all the key folks in all the departments. And every quarter we follow a model called OKRs. So we have objectives and then sort of key results that we expect. So I don't think it's a great idea to just plow right in and take one of these strategies and put them to effect, but to really think through with your executive team or your core folks and kind of create an all inclusive kind of plan. And certainly it's also not going to happen overnight. So plan out the next 12 to 24 months and quarter over quarter how you're going to start to employ some of these strategies, what comes first, what comes next. Create a good project plan and make sure you have the systems that can give you the data, because a lot of these strategies rely on having really high quality data and systems so that you can be effective when you decide to actually apply them, and also be able to measure them, because if you can't measure it, it's really hard to get the feedback.
Next question. During a downturn in Amazon sales, where would you focus your time? Branding, product page optimization, sponsored ads, outreach, Amazon store. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, if you have a downturn in Amazon sales, I think the answer is in your question. It probably indicates you're relying too heavily on Amazon. I would create a more diversification strategy. So uh, if you have some time on and you're looking to get better exposure, absolutely think about other channels and diversification. And again, if you, like I said about, all of these strategies, take the time to think through your business approach. I've run into so many people who jump right into tactical questions about, hey, what do I do about this one particular thing? When I think the answer really lies in zooming out and thinking bigger. It on the one hand, it's become kind of incredibly easy for new entrants to just launch a Shopify store in minutes and list a handful of products on Amazon and try to beat somebody on price. But don't be distracted by that. I think have some longevity and think top down. What is your big picture plan? How are you going to scale your business? What kind of growth rate have you had? And quarter over quarter, how are you going to get it to that 20 million mark? How are you going to break through? And it's often not about kind of real on the ground tactics. It's first and foremost about having a bigger picture strategy.
Okay, thank you, Parag. We're just going to launch one more really brief poll and continue with the Q&A.
Sounds good.
Should see it on your screens now.
Yeah, I like this poll. If you're interested in learning more about Webgility, please let us know, and we'll be happy to spend some time with you. Our team's able to obviously spend some quality time going through what your business needs might be, whether it's across inventory management, whether it's your finances or accounting, order management, shipping and fulfillment. We have a team of e-commerce experts here, and it's a fairly straightforward way for us to kind of do a quick diagnostic, really understand what parts of your business can be more automated, and then we can walk you through some steps. And if even if our product and our solution doesn't serve exactly your needs, we're more than happy to give you guidance on how you can improve.
All right, well, thank you again, Parag. We really appreciate your time today, and thank you to everyone listening in.
Great, thank you all for the time, really appreciate it. And please feel free to get in touch with us at hello@webgility.com.
For anyone's who questions we did not have a chance to get to today, we'll be sure to follow up and get in touch with you. And we'll also be sending out a link to the webinar recording shortly. And with that, please feel free to reach out if you're interested in learning more after the presentation. Thanks again.
Thank you.